other now, and they cannot hide it anymore.
Was the villain?
How was she dangerous?
Because of the need for her to rehabilitate her image.
The cameras were supposed to capture another royal dream come true, a love story reborn under the flashing lights of New York City. But oh no, honey, what they caught instead. A royal storm brewing right in front of the world. Because instead of that picture-perfect fairy tale moment, what spilled out was something darker, something raw.
My latest money-making scheme is going to be cosplaying the final night that Princess Diana died.
You could almost feel it through the screen. That tension, that crack in the glossy surface they've spent years polishing. When Prince Harry stepped out of that sleek black SUV, you didn't even need words. His eyes said it all. Pure exhaustion, bottled up fury, and the heavy silence of a man barely keeping it together under the blinding chaos of flashing bulbs. His jaw locked, shoulders rigid.
Body language. My God, no amount of PR spin is gonna...
Every muscle screamed, control yourself, don't lose it here. You could see him fighting the urge to explode right there in front of a million watching eyes. And Meghan? Oh, darling, for her it was business as usual. The smile switched on instantly, dazzling, flawless, the kind that's been rehearsed down to muscle memory. Every angle perfect, every step calculated. The Meghan Markle show was in full swing, but between them, you could feel it.
He is still very upset over her stunt over in Paris. I can't imagine that didn't go unnoticed by.
That cold distance like a wall made of unspoken words. It wasn't chemistry, it was survival. One wrong breath and that red carpet could have turned into a full-blown scene. The tension was that thick, and then it happened. A voice, sharp, slicing through the frenzy, shouted from the crowd, "Stop using our children!" The words hit like glass shattering in slow motion. The crowd went still. And in that one brutal second, everything changed. Harry's head whipped around so fast it made the flashes stutter. For just half a heartbeat, his fury was visible. Raw, unfiltered, real. Then he turned away.
See her face. You get here, mate. But on stage, when they knew everyone was filming on their mobile phones and taking pictures, it got even...
Grabbed Meghan's arm. Not gently, not sweetly, but with that tense, urgent grip of a man who just needs out. His lips moved, but no one could hear the words. Still, everyone felt them. The air around them buzzed with tension. The flashes kept coming. Reporters kept calling. But the fairy tale, it was done. The cracks were showing, and those weren't love smiles anymore. They were damage control. Those were the smiles of two people holding the pieces of a crumbling story, pretending everything was fine. From that moment, nothing about the night felt rehearsed. The prince who once went to war with the palace to protect her now looked like he was protecting himself. From her, from the cameras, from the ghosts behind those palace walls. They walked side by side, but with every step, the space between them grew. Invisible, yet suffocating. What the world saw as glamour, insiders whispered about as war.
Then you see her naked feet crisscrossed in front of her, like the world is at my feet. Ha ha ha, this is so fun. This is where my children's grandmother died. Good times.
A silent Cold War. And everyone was asking the same thing. What really happened to Harry and Meghan? How did passion twist into resentment? How did a fairy tale melt into a fight? New York City. That night was supposed to be their grand redemption. The air buzzed with cameras, sirens, whispers. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex finally back, ready to reclaim their story after months of silence. The venue gleamed like a promise. Golden lights, elegance everywhere, everything staged to perfection. But those who were there said it all felt wrong, something in the air. That strange kind of energy you can't explain but you can feel. Whispers spread quickly. A heated argument in the SUV just minutes before the arrival. One security team member described Harry's face as ice cold. Meghan, meanwhile, sat upright, staring at her reflection, adjusting her earrings again and again, not once glancing at him. And when that car door finally opened, every lens in Manhattan turned toward them. Producers had planned their perfect walk. One slow, graceful stride, two synchronized smiles, but the moment Harry stepped out, the choreography fell apart. He walked too fast, too tense, gaze locked on the floor instead of the flashing cameras. And this wasn't new. Oh no, this was just the latest chapter in a very public unraveling. A few weeks earlier, at a private dinner, away from the crowds, Meghan had reached for his hand. A simple, loving gesture. But Harry, he brushed it it off, muttered something short, sharp. One guest swore that was the exact moment the warmth left the room. Since then, the experts, PR pros, body language analysts, royal insiders, they all agreed something inside that relationship had fractured long before New York. What we saw that night wasn't an accident. It was a reveal. Some blame the fame, others point to the palace. But one insider close to Harry said something chilling. The breaking point didn't happen in America, it began in Paris. To the world, Paris had looked like a triumph. Their glorious comeback. Meghan and Harry, polished and powerful, striding across red carpets like royalty reborn. For weeks, the tabloids had hyped it as the moment, the grand return. Everything was planned. The styling, the walk, the timing. Meghan glowed in metallic gold, every glance perfect, every wave a calculated sparkle. Harry followed her lead, looking picture-perfect in his tux. It was a vision of resilience, of unity. The exiled royals turned global icons. But the illusion shattered almost immediately. When the flashes began, the disconnect was undeniable. Meghan was performing. Harry was enduring. That small exhale from him, it wasn't fatigue, it was surrender. No media training could hide that kind of exhaustion. And then, just like that, the crowd turned. That same heckler's voice again, cutting through the noise like a knife. "Stop using our children!" Everything froze. Meghan's practiced smile faltered. Harry's jaw tightened. His eyes darted toward the sound and then back toward the entrance, desperate for an escape. But here's the thing. It wasn't shock on his face. It was recognition. Those words, those accusations, he'd heard them before. Maybe not from a stranger, but from someone much closer. He reached for her arm again. That same motion everyone misread as protective. But one nearby photographer swore it wasn't affection. It was a signal. Move now. The warmth vanished, replaced by command, by silent urgency. From that instant, the night was doomed. Sure, they smiled, they laughed, they posed. But none of it was real. The connection had vanished. Gone, hollow, lifeless. To the cameras, it looked like grace. But to those close enough to see it unfold, it was grief. A kind of grief that doesn't scream, it sinks. And that so-called comeback? It wasn't a redemption story. It was the quiet, glittering beginning of their end. On the surface, it looked perfect. Flawless even. The kind of red carpet moment PR teams dream about. But when the footage was slowed down and replayed frame by frame, the truth was right there, hiding in plain sight. Every gesture, every blink, every movement between them told a different story, one that no royal press statement could ever fix. Harry's hand dangled by his side, fingers twitching every time Meghan reached toward him. She kept smiling, glowing for the cameras, but his face, oh, his face, it told the story of a man barely holding his composure. He blinked once, hard, like he was trying to steady himself, like he needed to remind his body to keep going. Body language experts later tore the footage apart, and their verdict? Brutal. One specialist called Harry's stance a defensive withdrawal, that silent, aching posture of someone shutting down emotionally. Another pointed out Meghan's laughter. Delayed, offbeat, just a second too late, like a line read from a script she no longer believed in. They weren't connecting anymore. They were coordinating, moving in sync, but without a single spark left between them. And it wasn't just this night. Oh no, this had been simmering for weeks. Remember that charity event with Kevin Costner? The cameras caught it there too. Meghan, ever the hostess, guiding conversations with that famous charm, while Harry sat stiff, distant, his jaw flexing with silent irritation. That same look, that same cold, weary stare, it returned in New York, only this time it was worse. You could see it in his eyes. Not anger, not love, just detachment. The kind of emptiness that says, "I'm done pretending." And behind the scenes, the whispers were deafening. A stylist who dressed Meghan that night swore the fitting ended in chaos. Meghan snapping, her tone sharp enough to slice through the room. Then a door slammed, and silence. No shouting from Harry this time, just quiet, the kind that hurts more than words ever could. People close to them said that's who Harry had become. No more confrontation, no more pleading. He'd stopped fighting back. He just shut down. When the photos hit social media, fans saw it instantly. The sparkle was gone. Side-by-side shots flooded timelines. Meghan leaning in, Harry leaning away. She smiled like she was clinging to the illusion, while he looked like a man enduring, not enjoying. Photo agencies tagged it romantic, but anyone who'd followed their journey could see through it. That wasn't affection. That was damage control. By the end of the night, even the event producers whispered among themselves. One was overheard saying, "It was like watching two actors forced to share a scene they no longer believed in." And yet, no one really understood why. What had happened to the couple who once broke royal tradition for love? When did the fire die out, leaving behind nothing but perfectly staged smoke? To find the truth, you have to rewind. Not to California, not even to New York. You have to go back to Paris, the place where the fracture first began. Before New York, there was Paris. The supposed comeback, the glittering rebirth. Meghan in couture, front row at Fashion Week, the cameras eating up every detail. She was radiant, poised, utterly magnetic. But those who were actually there said it was all a mirage. They saw a couple who shared space but not connection. Meghan smiled for the designers, waved to the fans, bathed in the attention. Harry, meanwhile, kept his distance, body stiff, eyes forward, his every step calculated to avoid contact. To the world, they looked powerful. To those close enough to feel the chill between them, it was clear something was off. And then came the moment that changed everything. Meghan's team filmed her walking through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, the exact place where Princess Diana's life ended. She smiled faintly at the camera, scarf pulled tight, her expression soft but deliberate. A haunting visual, impossible to ignore. When the clip went online, the world gasped. But what it sparked inside their home was far worse. According to sources close to the couple, Harry was livid, not angry in that loud, explosive way. No, this was deeper. This was heartbreak disguised as fury. To him, that tunnel wasn't just a location. It was sacred, the last place his mother had ever been alive. For Meghan, it was symbolism, legacy, resilience, a nod to the woman whose shadow loomed over every royal story. But to Harry, it was sacrilege. The argument that followed, one insider called it the moment everything broke. Words were exchanged that couldn't be taken back. Harry accused her of turning tragedy into content. Meghan defended herself, said it was art, it was empowerment. Harry's voice grew quieter, clipped. Meghan's steadier, sharper. Together they sounded rehearsed. Two actors stuck in a story long past its final act. And that's the cruel irony. It's not chaos defining them anymore. It's precision, controlled emotion, perfect posing. The mask so flawless it almost hides the ache beneath it. Almost. Frame by frame, smile by smile, the truth keeps slipping through. Because in every glance, in every pause, there's something unsaid, something much darker than the lies. And in the end, their silence is the loudest thing of all. Maybe those early smiles were real once. Maybe that laughter was genuine. But somewhere along the line, rebellion turned into routine, passion turned into strategy, and love turned into performance. In their world of flashbulbs and cameras, affection became an act, loyalty a brand. The fairy tale didn't shatter with a bang. It dissolved, slowly, tragically, one frame at a time. And in that fading silence, between the flash of fame and the weight of reality, the truth waited, hidden, quiet, unforgettable. Because that night in New York wasn't just another royal appearance, it was a reflection of everything they've lost, everything they've pretended, and everything they can't fix. What once looked like destiny now looks like déjà vu.